Ladies and gentlemen, this is not sustainable. And I keep saying this, I keep telling people it's not sustainable to continue to deceive the entire country. You cannot continually deceive people, whether it's blaming Russia for Trump defeating Clinton or blaming Russia because you railroaded your own candidate in Bernie Sanders and Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign in disgrace, or blaming Russia for emails that you wrote, which, by the way, the Democrats wrote, and then they blamed Russia with the DNC emails, forcing their chairwoman to resign and then promptly join the Clinton campaign. But you cannot blame Putin for things that you've done that were perhaps criminal or your misdeeds, your sins. You cannot, that's what a demagogue does. Look up the definition. That is the definition of xenophobia, demagoguery. You're blaming others for your problems, for your sins, for your indiscretions, for your potentially criminal behavior. And that's what the wonderful Hunter Biden is doing yet again. He's blaming Russia in this very vague... So the intelligence community, first of all, intelligence agencies are supposed to protect us from outside adversaries outside of this country. And in certain cases, adversaries within the country. But a political opposition to the Democratic Party is not an adversary or a problem that needs to be dealt with by intelligence operatives. What people like Clapper and Brennan and Comey and Strzok and McCabe and Kleinsmith, all of these people who are either indicted or being investigated by the Durham probe, what they've done is they've picked a political side. It's not sustainable because they could easily switch towards actually even supporting President Trump 4 years from now. They're like slithering. They slither towards whichever political party or the political side that's most influential at the moment. Democrats and media they're all in for the Democratic Party, so intelligence operatives went to where the social media networks and publications and cable stations, where all the hysteria was growing. Trump won. Everyone melted down. They couldn't stand it. They blamed Russia. They blamed Trump. They accused Trump baseless claims of possibly working with Russia. That never happened. They investigated with Mueller, found nothing. They couldn't even find that he obstructed the Mueller probe. So they found nothing. They say, well, we found collusion here and collusion there. It didn't lead to any indictments, and that's your opinion. That's your vantage point. But here, demagoguery, political activity or practices that seek support for by appealing to the desires and prejudices of ordinary people, than by using a rational argument. They used 50 years of the Cold War, the hysteria, the underlying emotions that Americans or American society or the American political establishment harbors. And they said, well, you know what? We came in with a Russian reset. We came in with trying to renew ties with Putin after Bush was seen as the hawk, which the Bush administration was the worst administration of all time. Their foreign policy led to the destabilization of an entire region of the world. But you look at everything from an aggregate perspective, a bird's eye view. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Hunter Biden is now blaming. Here, DOJ investigated Hunter Biden twists U.S. intelligence on emails into false Russian operative narrative. The U.S. intelligence, our wonderful intelligence agencies, stated with high to moderate confidence that Trump worked with Russia, or that Russia infiltrated or influenced the election. They couldn't find any data as to how many votes were altered. They couldn't find any data as to which Facebook ads were most effective. They couldn't find any evidence linking Trump to Russia. They investigated their baseless claims. Trump doesn't have that luxury, and somebody should have explained that to him like 5 months, 6 months, the past 5-6 months. But when President Trump makes a claim based on a hunch or moderate to high confidence, you better believe Democrats will ask for categorical proof at that moment. Excuse me. With Hunter Biden, he got caught with his pants down literally, and also in terms of his emails. Quote, "Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving me an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. It's really an honor and pleasure," one of the emails read. This email proves or shows or illustrates that Biden lied. He will be impeached by a Republican Congress because of this. Almost certainly. He will almost certainly be impeached. And then you have another email. Advice on how you can use your influence on the company's behalf. This is a company that was being investigated by a country, Ukraine. So, or the investigation was about to happen, but guess who got involved? Hunter's father. So, did you already have an email on asking Hunter Biden whether his father could use, or whether he could use his influence on behalf of the company? The company then was about to be investigated, and guess what? One of the prosecutors was forced out by Vice President Joe Biden. The absurd narrative, the irrational narrative was, well, he was forced out because he wasn't tough enough on corruption. So that's, that would be like, that would be like breaking into somebody's car and taking the car because that person was irresponsible behind the wheel, so you just have to steal their car. It makes no sense. You don't fire someone and then say, well, you did it to uphold our fight against corruption. if there's a conflict of interest there. So he's blaming Russia because the intelligence operative said Russia tried to influence 2020. So they make this blanket statement. Then he says, well, the intelligence agencies did say Russia tried to influence 2020. So I don't know. I was, consuming narcotics. So it could have been my emails or could not. I don't really know. Of course, the public relations apparatus, Jimmy Kimmel included, will embrace his rear end and prop him up. Nobody in the country, even Democrats, don't believe that this man is stable or, if you really look at it, he's actually walking national security risk on a human level. It's pretty devastating what Biden, who is this man's father, is allowing him to get away with. You would think there would be an intervention. You had his girlfriend throw a firearm into a dumpster, and they lost track of it. You had him losing a laptop and losing track of it. And emails that were incriminating, that show pay-to-play schemes. How can you use your influence is not nepotism. That's not nepotism. Nepotism is, you have a family business. Okay, great. Or you're, very well known in a specific industry, and you get your family member a job within that industry. That's nepotism. This is not nepotism. This is pay-to-play. This is what 60 Minutes accused Ron DeSantis of, which he didn't do, and what 60 Minutes deceptively edited to accuse him of. Again, Democrats don't care about deceptively edited videos, and if you look at James O'Keefe and Veritas, they don't deceptively edit anything. It's the actual words that do them in. See, the recordings in Veritas's video, the DNC emails, Hunter Biden's laptop and emails, if you get into the actual thought process, the ideology, the true intentions, the words of Democrats, it's like a national security risk for them. They just blame other people. Well, Putin wanted you to know this. Well, do you still believe that? Well, let's not talk about that. Just blame Putin. So he's stating that Russia, because the assessment is that they tried to interfere. So these are vague, broad, nebulous terms. They could mean anything. They could mean anything. Like the supremacy phrase. It could mean anything. Is Biden an example? He wrote the crime bill. No, not Biden. But they interfered. The intelligence operatives never stated that those emails were fake or forged or infiltrated. They just say they interfered somehow. Then now Hunter Biden is saying, well, it could be that Russia interfered with those emails. I don't know. I don't know if some of them were altered. There's no hysteria. There's no suspicion. Democrats investigate their baseless claims. They had to purchase a dossier against Trump. They don't even want to touch Hunter Biden's actual emails. They literally fabricated and conjured up a dossier because they didn't have any incriminating emails from Trump. And one would think that he would have this endless treasure trove of incriminating data that linked him to Russian intelligence officials, emails included. They couldn't find anything, so they purchased a dossier. And here you have emails showing that Biden lied, both of them. The issue is pay to play. The issue is an overt, racket. Hunter Biden struck deals and brokered deals, business deals, made millions because he deceived, or he gave access, or he deceived people into thinking they would get access to the highest levels of U.S. government. If you look at what took place, they did get hooked up. Just like the Clinton Foundation emails, or the Clinton Foundation got hundreds of millions, and the people that gave money got hooked up, whether it was Uranium One. President Obama did not veto the sale. Why? Even Snopes. Why didn't President Obama veto the sale? If it was the other way around, they would say, well, of course, put two and two together. Correlation never equals causation with Democrats. They don't utilize the same standards to judge Trump as they demand when they're caught with their hands in the cookie jar, or with their pants down, literally, often cases. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. He's blaming Russia for actually writing the emails that incriminate him and his father. Give me your and most Americans, according to the latest polls, want him investigated. He's being investigated by the federal government, which should have been public knowledge. I don't know why in 2018, I believe William Barr, who did help Trump here and there, he should have, I don't know, if people, who knew and who didn't know. Maybe William Barr didn't know. I find it very difficult to believe. But in 2018, the federal government was investigating Hunter Biden. That should have been front and center. He should never have been impeached the first time. If the federal government's investigating Hunter Biden, why was he impeached on asking Zelensky to possibly look into Biden? The United States is already investigating his son. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'll be back.